hurt? This guy's still walking and following commands.
Not for taser, I think.
Sitting in with us tonight. Speaking of like seizing your fans,
That's about to happen.
That looks like a bad dude too.
Do you find it really hard?
Which way are they facing?
Now,
They're facing west-south. I think he may have just been tasered. Shots fired!
it's Jan Nikki 6. James Hetfield is sitting in with us tonight. Speaking of like seizing your fans and always being their band, do you find it really hard?
Which way are they facing?
Now,
They're facing west-south. I think he may have just been tasered. Shots fired!
it's Jan Nikki 6. James Hetfield is sitting in with us tonight. Speaking of like seizing your fans and always being their band, do you find it really hard?
Which way are they facing?
Now,
They're facing west-south. I think he may have just been tasered. Shots fired! 321, we have shots fired. We have one suspect down. We need him here.
They need to get this eastbound closed down if they could, because they're not going to be able to let anybody.
Please, we're going to get eastbound 36th Street North. Actually, just going to be 36th Street North shut down. That's Lewis, and then probably back off about 3 or 4 blocks to the west of there.
That's what we're up for. So I tell you, that is the coolest part about being in a band is playing live. It's not the 22 other hours, getting it's the 2 hours that's on stage, and that is golden to me.
we're talking to James Hetfield from Metallica. We will have more with him in just a minute.
Adam 305, if we haven't already, start him, so.
That's where they are now.
Charlie 305 on scene. Has anybody cleared the vehicle yet?
Well, you've seen the latest injustice here. Now, while we're all watching the video, we're all making our commentary on what was going on there. As you see, the man had his hands in the air. There was no confrontation. He had stalled his vehicle in the middle of the road. All right? These cops that showed up weren't even responding to his aid. And this guy, just a stalled car, right, mind you. And you saw the whole approach of the cops. They approached him. The male tasered him. His sister, the other female cop, shot him. Now, what is that? Now, you saw it for yourself. Now we're going to hear from our audience today. We have Khalif Browder's brother on today, Hakami Browner. Browder. I said it right the first time. Mm-hmm. Victor Tate. Pate.
I know. You had to put that in, right?
Put that in. And of course, Graham Weatherspoon.
And Winston Gilchrist.
Gilchrist.
Oh, Gilchrist.
Yeah.
Well,
Gilchrist.
it's no laughing matter what we're talking about. But in light of what happens here, this is the most grievous of all. Hey, you store your car in the middle of the road. You're an honest citizen going to church every Sunday. You've got 4 kids. You know, on the honor roll of being black in America. You know what I mean? and your car stalls in the middle of the road. It's daytime.
Yeah.
And this is what happens to you. Because the helicopter, you didn't hear the helicopter guy. He was saying, oh, he looks like a bad dude. So the assumption of a big black man is intimidating to everybody. And mind you, the two cops that approached her first, the two of them, they're related. They're brothers and sisters. So the brother tases him, and sis sits back, and I guess it's time to shoot. And she shoots him. Now, what is the state of affairs today, gentlemen? Your comments?
I'd like to know what the dialogue was. If your car stalls in the middle of the road, they weren't responding to him. They were on their way somewhere else.
Yeah.
But his car is in the middle of the road, literally in the middle of the road. What was the dialogue? Because we're not hearing that. We're hearing the guy in the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
We're not hearing any audio from the dash cam. I don't know if these officers have cameras, body cams or whatever, but we're not hearing what's going on because he puts his hands up.
Yeah, obviously.
He turns around and he walks back to his vehicle. So,
as he was told to, I guess.
That's the point I'm going to make.
Oh, okay.
If you're John Joe citizen, you're not going to throw your hands up and go back to your vehicle and officers have guns out. You're not just going to go and do something like that. Did they ask him for his ID? What was the dialogue? Now, they're claiming that he reached into the vehicle, but the window was closed.
Right.
He couldn't reach into the vehicle because the windows were closed.
Well,
and
that's when the lies start.
That was seen from above when they stopped the helicopter video. It showed the window was closed. So she's lying about him reaching in the car. She thought he was going to reach in the car through the window to grab a weapon. But we don't know. What was the dialogue? Did they give him an instruction? Just like the young fella who was shot in the gas station where the cop said, let me see your ID, and the kid turned into the car and the cop shot him 2 or 3 times and he said, why did you shoot me?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, why did you shoot me? You asked me to get my ID.
And he was apologetic. Do you also understand that the black man in America is apologetic for being shot for doing what the officers tell
Just as the counselor with the autistic fella who was laying on the ground this summer, and they got a call about some guy with a gun, and the autistic fella is sitting there with a toy truck in his hand. And they had a guy there with an AR-15 sighting in on him. And you're sighting in on somebody. Matter of fact, when you're using a sight with a scope, you can see clearer than with your naked eye. So you can't see that in his hand he's holding a toy truck. And the therapist is laying on the ground with his hands up.
And they shot him.
And they shot him anyway.
They said they meant to shoot the autistic.
So he explained to them, I am his psychologist. He's autistic. Don't shoot him. He only has a toy truck. There's no excuse.
God willing that he actually survived that, first of all.
Right. It's thank God. He was shot in the leg, and the cop said right after, he said, I don't know why I shot him.
Exactly. And here's another thing. And also, so you can clearly see the man walking to his car with his hands up. In which manner or at what point could they justify that? How was he acting in a threatening manner that would have showed that their lives were in jeopardy? What physical movements was he making to even indicate that there was anything that he was going to do other than what he was being told to do?
Here's a question for all of us here. Why was hands in the air in the first place?
It's just a submissive nature that we have
show. I mean, why would he feel so threatened by the police that he's a big guy, he knows better, so all of a sudden he's got his hands up in the air. He knows better than to show any resistance at all.
You're right.
All right? Because, the helicopter guy said, he looks like a bad dude. All right? This is their imagery of anyone of ample size and black.
And black.
You know what I mean?
Years ago, I was up in Harlem. We were at District 3 on 143rd Street with the transit police. And the guy came running in, he said, somebody's been shot. We said, where? In the hotel on 150th and St. Nicholas Terrace. There was a hotel there.
Yeah.
So he said, you call the precinct? No, they never come. Anything happens, they're scared. They don't show up. So myself and a few other cops and the sergeant, we ran up there from 147th. And we got in the hotel, and the hallways were not straight. It was like a maze. So we were looking for the person that's been shot. And I see a guy in the corner of my eye. He's just standing by a window. And he's got his hands behind his back. And, you know, moving around. I look again. His hands are still behind his back. And I said, hey, fellow, let me see your hands. He doesn't move.
See the time? It's 5:10.
And I said, let me see your hands. So he just stares at me, so I draw my weapon. And the other guys realize that I have my weapon out, so they all draw. I said, let me see your hands. And his hand comes down from behind his back. He has a gun in his hand. Now, he could have shot any one of us while we were walking around that hotel there. And everybody drew, and I said, nobody moves. I'm taking the gun. Nobody fire. And I walked up to the guy. He had the gun at his side. It was cocked. I took the weapon, dropped the hammer, cuffed him. He had a .357 Magnum with a 6-inch barrel that he was holding in his hand, which was stolen from a New York State police officer's home, a state trooper, stolen from a state trooper's home upstate. Nobody got hurt.
As usual,
nobody got hurt.
Graham, you always tell the story of the heroin police officer, and you are a tenth of what how most police officers act.
The guys with me.
All right. We all know.
The guys with me.
All of us don't know any police officers.
Also,
would I like
use
to,
restraint.
But you are.
They weren't gun happy.
I'd like to hold on to the thought is, I mean, not to take away from the story, because I mean, I'm happy that that man got to survive. But as he said, you're a tenth of what New York State police officers exemplify. And the fact is, I mean, if you look at just Muhammad Ali's statement of, I mean, he made an analogy of snakes coming after him, and 1,000 of them are all poisonous. And how do you tell the ones that are not poisonous from the ones that are?
Is this the Skittles? Is this the Skittles thing?
No,
I'm just joking.
It's actually it's Muhammad Ali's.
No, I know. I'm just alluding
All right,
to
let's
it.
talk a little bit about yourself there. We had an interesting conversation a couple of days ago. I understand you talked to Graham this morning. We had yesterday we talked. And as you know, this is Khalif Browner's brother. His older brother, you're 10 years older than him.
Yes.
You all know Khalif Browner committed suicide at 23?
21.
21. Well, he was 21. Why did I think he was 23? And he spent from 16 to how old? 3 years?
Going on 20.
20. 2 of those years, 2.5 of those years were in solitary confinement.
Yes.
Now, we all know what solitary confinement can do. Victor and I have done many shows on what we call the box.
Yeah.
And this working on a young mind, him being abused and tortured, we all know that part of it. But you told me a couple of things that happened to him that I don't think too many people realize. That he was being pursued by undercover cops. They were surveilling the house, and I don't know if you talked to Graham about any of this, but these are untold stories of the wickedness of Rikers Island. Now, we all talk about Rikers Island. There are all sorts of stories that happen there. It's planned genocide. It's a torture chamber. It's a demonic force there. And understand, you can feel it when you walk in. Most of the people there are demonic. There's a spirit there of torture, and whether you talk back, and there's a certain standard of respect demanded by the correctional officers, and they're dealing with people that are, I would say, psychotic or neurotic at least. Being confined in any small space and not having touch other humans drives any sane person mad. But a young mind being exposed to this, and you being innocent, why me?
Yes.
Why is this happening to me? I've got all this loving energy and understand, you told me the night he was arrested, there was a rule in your house that no one went out alone. So this is his first excursion out alone by himself at 16. He wasn't allowed to roam the streets by himself. So he wasn't a street person.
No.
So what happened to him? He was arrested a half a block from home after his first night out at a birthday party. Just tell us a little bit about that story.
And, well, I mean, you have to understand this is New York. I mean, or anywhere in America, you see a black man, and whether it's a child or adolescent or a man, you see a black kid or a black person walking the street, then the natural thing is that he's going to have something on him. The natural thing in the Bronx is that there's a 90% chance that they're going to find something or plant something.
Right.
And I could assume that that's what the officers at that time was seeing 2 black kids around 11 o'clock, and my mom gave him a curfew of 11 o'clock to be back. So he was on his way back. And it's close to 11 o'clock. He was found on the block. And so that being said, I mean, with the stop that they did, I can only assume also that the story that they made up, because in the long run, there was never a person, the person who accused my brother was never actually found. That person was said to have been deported. I mean, if you have to make up a person fictitiously and then...
He's no longer accessible by law enforcement. He just disappeared off
Now
the face of the earth.
let's clear that up now. Now, he was accused of stealing a backpack.
Yes.
And somebody actually supposed to have picked him out.
No.
Now,
He was never
No one
identified.
Wait. There was never a lineup?
No.
There was never an identification
No, the person,
process?
they said that the person was in another police car and drove past and said that was him.
The victim.
The victim.
Alleged victim. Okay.
Yeah.
When we do what's called a show-up, that has to be within an hour of the incident.
Well, they changed the story. As I told you over the phone, they had the story that he had robbed a person that day. Then they changed it because the book bag didn't have it wasn't the same book bag, and it didn't have the description of the stuff inside. So they changed the story and said, no, it was 2 days ago. And then at the precinct, they changed it to say it was 2 weeks ago.
The police cannot do an well, let me do this.
Should not do, you mean, right?
Should not. But
They can do anything they want.
if the victim is in a car and they're driving around and they say, that's the guy that robbed me yesterday, at 11 o'clock at night, you need to have a lineup subsequent to that pickup. It's 11 o'clock at night. When did the alleged crime take place? Was it daytime? Was it nighttime? All right. Were there any other alleged witnesses to the alleged crime? You see,
Again, that's the proper way to do it.
proper way
So
because
How was it
before
done?
we get into the semantics of what the police are supposed to do, let's get into what happened,
All right.
actually.
Okay.
Because what
There you go.
happened is they made up this story so that they can get him, because the whole logistics of it is we need him to accept a felony because we can't get him with a felony because we have no evidence. We don't even have a live character because we were just saying that so that we can ascertain, looking in his bag the day that we stopped him on the street when we see 2 black kids. So let's make up the story as we go along and hope that we can scare him because we're offering him 15 years. How do you offer a non-felon, a person with no felony in their record,
Right.
no interactions, and I mean, you're a kid, first of all. How do you offer him
that
15
sounds so-
years?
that's-
But that's a scare tactic. We all know that. And then when he dropped it down to 7, I mean, I remember this conversation clearly with my mom. She was like, because Khalif was like, they're offering 7. I don't want to, they're going to plant something on me. He was scared. So he was like, I might want to just take the 7. We was like, no. So this man, this young kid would have been doing 7 years had he said, just give it to me. I'm scared. I'm on Rikers. I've never even been outside of the Bronx. Now I'm in a jail, and there's adults there wanting to kill me. There's officers, because he was confused. because I remember having a conversation with him during a visit saying, these officers, because police are supposed to protect and serve. They are looked at as a person of authority, right? But in jail, they're not there to protect and serve. They're supposed to, or they have a different agenda there. But he was confused as to their role. He was like, why they let them do this?
There's a trial on right now in federal court. There are 3 correction officers due to be sentenced today. I heard on the radio. Because for brutalizing inmates in Rikers Island.
Oh yes, yeah, I did hear
and
that.
that trial is finalized. I think they're due to be sentenced today in federal court.
Yep.
So we're not talking about something theoretical. This is something that goes on, and gangs are pitted against each other.
How often does this happen, where correction officers are brought up on charges?
I think the Department of Correction has the highest turnover rate of any agency in the city of New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and we
Let's
have
get back to your brother. And this is really interesting from our conversation we had. Now, I understand that you at 13 had an incident with police, and they sort of like targeted your family?
So, I mean, I was accused when I was younger of a sexual offense.
13?
At 13,
okay.
In 1997.
Okay.
I was going on 14. But long story short, they...
but this was your girlfriend, right?
This was a girl that I was dating.
Okay.
And long story short, they waited until I was 16 to sentence me because they said we were getting it out the public's eye. Now, the thing with that is...
What were you accused of?
The charges, I don't know. I was a kid, so actually, I only remember what I was charged, what I was sentenced with, which, I mean...
Rape?
No.
Uh-huh.
Sodomy in the first was the sentence that I got, which...
Sodomy in the first?
Yeah, sodomy.
In the first?
Well, no. I just know it was sodomy, actually. So, what they waited to do is put me on the sex offender registry and give me an adult sentence when I was actually at 13.
13.
So the thing was they use the fact that blacks don't know the law, and so my mom just trusted
the lawyer,
this Jewish attorney Schulman to do what's best for her kid at a $50,000 rate at that. That being said,
you got ripped off.
Oh yeah, because actually what we found out is that when police departments open up an investigation or a case against someone in this house, well then that file stays forever in that precinct. So when it came to Khalif, they already had it in. They already know the parents are dumbfounded when it comes to the law. So let's do it again. And if we can get anyone else, which I mean, then they target people. So
that's your personal experience.
Get in the end with me, and we just let the attorney say what happens. As an adult, I realized that as I started speaking to every attorney that I could, they were like, well, one, the sentence, you could have been sentenced at 26 if the investigation lasted whatever, but it still goes back to the day that you were arrested, not making it seem like you were 26 and you just did this.
That was a family court matter.
What did the young girl say about all this when you were 13?
I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone.
But what did she must have accused you of something.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I wasn't privy to it. This is literally all I did was say what we did. Like literally, we.
Did you have sex with her?
No. We actually, it was oral copulation. So sodomy is not what you think it is, because sodomy is actually depending on everything that's it says. Sodomy is the act of oral copulation, not forced.
Right.
Not forced.
But the thing is that a child cannot.
Wait, now you had oral sex at 13 with another young girl.
There's forcible sodomy, and under New York State, there are laws on sodomy where it's prohibited, but forcible compulsion, all right, is a knife is put to your neck, do it. You know, I've arrested people for that. Forcible compulsion, consensual. There is consensual sodomy. And there is sodomy between married people.
I'm trying to find out where the complaint came from,
but
where
this
the
is
police
this is the point.
got involved.
He was 13.
I wasn't allowed to give. No one's
She
allowed
could
to
not
give
give consent.
at 13
She's
years
a
old.
minor.
The parent has to.
The parent, when the parent finds out about it,
Oh, you mean kids having sex is sodomy?
they
You know what
don't.
you're telling me?
You're
Yes.
talking about the burden
Yes.
of proof.
You cannot.
No, this is a technicality that
Yeah.
that first of all,
Well, how
it
did
may
the
not
police
be
get
under
involved in the first
the
place?
parent. So, but right now, what we're
The girl's mother turned you in for having
The
sex
mother,
with
the
his...
father, the brother, whatever. But you
I
can't.
see.
No child can give consent to sex
At that age.
at that age.
That's right.
No
So the
boy, no
father didn't
girl.
like you or
and
something?
what we have to also
So the
realize.
father didn't like you or something?
I don't even know the family. That first of all, please understand that one, I didn't come here to talk about my
Okay.
case, but also understand I was a 13-year-old.
Right.
I mean, what 13-year-old knows what's going on in their life at that time?
Well, that was the whole point of talking about.
Oh no, I'm just saying
Yeah, right.
when it comes to that, I mean, I wish I had the knowledge and understanding as I do as an adult, because if I did, then it would be a totally different story.
But what you're saying led to Khalif being involved in all this.
What I know for a fact is that
Okay.
after interviewing certain people,
Okay.
the story is once a file is opened. In
Now,
that
tell us
house-
how we can help, or give us a reasonable, something to look forward to and what we can learn from all this. I mean, this is true injustice. I mean, you lost your brother who you were close to, and you seem to have been targeted. Not even racial profiling. The stop and frisk seemed to be what he was involved with. That was just another stop of a young kid on the street. That could happen to any of us. But this was his first night out. So he was completely innocent of any of this or know anything what to do. All right? So tell us how we can learn from this, or what you're doing to fight against the segregation he got, the solitary confinement, the fight against Rikers and the demonic forces there. How can we help? How can we learn from your experience?
I realize that this isn't a one-man thing. This
Right.
It's not a one-family thing. It's not. I mean, the main key is to understand that families are affected. Just not the same amount as the person that's actually in jail or killed because of jail or took their life because of jail. But there's the other aspect that people don't realize, that there's families that's behind these people that has to then deal with their son, their daughter, their father, their husband, someone coming home after being in one of these torture chambers.
Right.
And if they come home and end up taking their lives because of the tortures that they suffered, well then that's an aspect that's left on the family. That's an aspect that says, you know what, we did our job. We took him away from the community, him or her away from the community for X amount of time. Now it's up to you to deal with, without any health insurance, without any financial obligation that we can do. So there's that aspect. And in this case, I realize it's not a one-person thing to complain about. It's not like my brother's story or my family's story is separate from the next man's story. What we're saying is the people should be united into understanding how and what relevant information, as like what you were telling me about getting these people involved, the senators from every borough, to change policy and procedures so that things could be done in a way that it actually is going to actually happen, instead of just going to the streets. So I actually run an organization, the campaign to shut down Rikers. We do projects to highlight the stories, the hundreds of stories that's coming out of Rikers Island, yet people only see the initial arrest. They don't get to then, because the news loves to report things immediately right then and there.
Yeah.
And yet you're not sentenced. You're not sentenced, you're only accused. So the news is painting a picture of this animal, just like as we saw with the helicopter. But after the fact, that animal might have just actually been a human being. So what we do, because the news doesn't do this, we interview them after. We publicize the real story behind the scenes after they've been accused and may have taken a plea just because they didn't want to stay on Rikers, getting abused all the time.
You know what's the most amazing part of the story is that there was never a backpack stolen. That's the sad part of this whole thing.
Now, D.A. Johnson in the Bronx, how many times did they adjourn this case? Because you have, your brother is charged, was it robbery he was charged with?
Burglary.
Burglary. All right, that's a felony crime. You have 180. Burglary in the third is a felony. You're required to bring that case before a grand jury within a specified.
Doesn't there have to be some value into how much?
No, just entering illegally to commit a crime is burglary.
Exactly.
All right.
With the intent.
With the intent to commit a crime.
And they have to prove their intent.
Right.
I mean, you can accuse someone of the intent to commit burglary, but that's an accusation. You have to be tried.
And then
you
there
have
are
to be
certain
given
components that go along with the intent portion of it also.
Right. So if you're being charged with a felony, that was called 180, and they have to come up and they have to present an indictment before a grand jury, which obviously never happened.
Nope.
Because there was never a trial in 3.5 years with DA Robert Johnson of the Bronx. So here's a 16-year-old kid sitting in Rikers Island for 3.5 years, allegedly for a crime, and there is no grand jury proceeding. I don't know how many adjournments there were on the
38.
case. 38 adjournments. This is denial of due process because the right to a speedy trial was denied to his brother. This is a violation of federal law, constitutional law.
Yes.
DA Johnson needs to be held accountable for it, along with the city of New York. This is a matter that should be sitting before the U.S. Department of Justice.
I'm going to quickly interject. I'm sorry. You have, if you're being accused with a felony, you have 180 days
188.
after arraignment to then be found innocent or guilty. If not, they have to release you. So we have to understand one thing, actually. Khalif, when it came up to his 3 years, that was the equivalent of 180 days. Because they play a game where they stop the clock and say that they're ready. So the clock stops when they're going back and forth to court, saying that they're ready. When they're not ready, say they have to find the victim. Or
how many other people are in situations like this?
Well, right now, Rikers is holding it at a 9. They have a 9,900 people on Rikers. They're all going through it.
See, and this is the problem also because the judges are complicitous with this program. Judges know that people's rights are being violated, and the judges are not telling the assistant DAs, counselor, you were marked ready for this date. You're not ready. He's released on his own recognizance.
That's what
give him a dollar bail, let him go home.
That's what the Khalif Browner law is about.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask that.
So the Khalif Browner law was written to stop those clock stoppers, the ones that say they're not ready, and then 3 days later they tell the judge, and they go while the detainee is on Rikers, and they're set to come back 60 days later. 2 months later or 30 days later, they then go to the judge 3 days after, and I've shown from the beginning of this year, January to February, we showed over 100 cases to prove that this is what happens. Yet, the Khalif Browner law didn't get passed this term. We're hoping next term for it to get passed because we'll have the Democratic we'll have the House of Democrats then. Hopefully. Right now, hopefully.
Yeah.
But see, this is beyond Democrat and Republican.
Yeah,
this is about the treatment of the citizens of the state of New York.
They don't want to pass the law because it's financial. Khalif, what happened with Khalif doesn't just happen to one person. But when you're making this case to people who are in power to change things, like make this let this law pass because we can see it in numerous overwhelming amounts of cases, they don't want to do it because it won't benefit their investors or their pockets. We have a system that loves to punish people. I gotta say this also, America has never, ever been great according to how they, we gotta stop living a dream because America has been based off the dream. Yet, when are we gonna wake up from this dream? When are we gonna stop living the dream?
Well, we gotta fight the devil. We've gotta fight the demons that are out there.
And this is just one of the reasons why my colleague Khalif, Akeem here is part of criminal justice reform and is the leader of the organization that he's the leader of, and we are definitely addressing these issues. And you know, I know that him and I have been sort of like getting closer and stuff like that, and sort of like bringing him into the arena of the organizations and of the people that are part of this criminal justice reform. Because as you pointed out, that this is an injustice. I mean, you know, in the worst way in the world, especially what happened to his brother. Somebody should go to jail for that. Somebody should pay for that.
That's, you know,
and we got to stop taking pleas, or we got to stop taking settlements, because realistically, we're not making it better for the people that come after.
Okay.
By accepting settlements, you're not making precedent. You're not being able to take this to court for the people who come after, so that they can use this in a defense. The settlements is just a shut up money, so that we can shut you up, so that we can do it to another person.
Well, we got to find out. You're welcome to come back anytime you're ready.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to hear what happens to your story. It's very intriguing, and it's a lesson on what happens in the system. All right, we're going to go to the press conference at National Action Network this morning, and we'll be right back at you. This is Terrence Crutchner, the guy who was shot on the highway, and this is his twin sister. I want you to get to know this family a little better. So we'll just play this roll in, and we'll be right back at you. All right?
To do anything that would be out of the spirit that this family has stood up with. Amen. Right. So people talking about are they going to rouse something up? No, the riling up was done on the highway to terrorists. Right. Yes. We come to bring justice down and to work with people of all races that respect this family. Republicans, Democrats, everybody respect this family. They were getting all kinds of texts and messages while I was sitting there with the father in the car, and then as we sat and had breakfast. I also hope that on Monday night, I'm calling for both Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Trump in the debate to talk about what they're going to do about the continual abuse in our community. What are you going to do about police reform? If you're going to be the next president, this president has put a commission out, this president has an attorney general. What will you do? And how will you deal with this issue that is seemingly so prevalent in our country and society? Any debate that does not discuss this issue is a bogus debate. This is a national crisis, and it must be addressed. Before hearing from the attorneys, and we're going to hear from both attorneys, I think we should hear first from the family. An outstanding young lady whose twin brother was killed. As she sat this morning doing an interview, even a reporter broke down, something I had not witnessed. The promise is now on her and her siblings to keep going. Yes. May we hear from Dr. Tiffany Crutchner.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank New York, Harlem, for the outpouring of love and support. I hear that you all are going to host a rally here in the next few days, this coming Saturday. We just want you all to know that we are truly, truly humbled, and we appreciate you all greatly. We really do. We've gotten support from all around the world, people from different walks of life, different cultures, different backgrounds, different races, and they want justice just as we do. We're heartbroken. We're experiencing a whirlwind of emotions right now: confusion, hurt, pain, anger. And on the way over here, we just spoke with some of the college professors at Tulsa Community College, where my brother was starting school on that Friday. And they wanted to call, and they wanted for us to hear their story. They were the last to actually interact with my brother, and it got really emotional. Those were the last people to interact with my brother, and they said the conversation was pleasant. They helped him find his class. He was logging into a computer. They said he was, doing well and excited about starting school. They said they watched him look for his class and, walk around campus and come to find out they had canceled the class. And they made jokes about it. And, for now, we have the police department, the police chief, the mayor. They promised me, they sat down and looked me in my eye and said, we would not and we won't vilify your brother, humiliate your family. And now what we're seeing today is the opposite. You wonder why our trust is not there. You wonder why the trust isn't there. And regardless of what was found, we know, this is what we know. We know that there was no gun in the car. We know he was unarmed. We know he was moving slow. We knew he didn't commit a crime like the New York bomber did, who's still alive. We know all of those things, but my brother is dead. And to hear the helicopter police say he looks like a bad dude, people who are paid to protect and serve us. You didn't know my brother. You didn't know if he needed help. You didn't even stop to see you immediately because you thought he looked like a bad dude. Told him to comply. Comply for what? What did he do to comply? Why did he need to put his hands up? What did he do? What did he do? And so now he's dead, and last thing, he laid there after he got shot. Nobody went to see. Our servants, our police officers who are supposed to protect and serve, they shot him. He laid there for 2 minutes at least, bleeding. Nobody checked on him to see if he had a pulse. Nobody went to go run and see if they could preserve his life. They said that he died later at the hospital. No, he died on the scene. That's why we want justice. And we're demanding that the leaders and the district attorney press charges immediately. And we will continue to put pressure on them until they do. That's what we want. And when we do that, guess what? We'll get our peace. We'll get our peace. And I just celebrated a birthday with my twin, August 16th, and he was excited about the next 40. We're really strong accountability partners. I'm always on him. He's always on me. But we talked about the next few years. What are we going to do? What are we going to do to become better? What are we going to do big before we die? We talked about what we want to do for our parents. And he said, this is what I know. I got a text message, my very last text message from my twin. He said, I'm going to show you all, and God is going to get the glory out of my life, and I'm going to make you all proud. And he told me he loved me. But because of a senseless error in judgment, he won't get that chance. He won't get that chance. And so we're asking and we're pleading, we're demanding that justice be served. But we just want to thank everybody who's looking and watching on behalf of my parents, his beautiful children who are hurting really, really bad. We just want to say that we thank each and every one of you, everybody, and just keep the prayers coming because we need them. And again, we were excited about the peaceful protests. That's how we flow. That's our family. We flow in love. We flow in peace. We're a faith-based family, and we want to keep it that way. But just know that our voices will be heard, and we're going to keep this going for a mighty long time. Not just for my brother, but for the people that came behind us. And so the chain breaks here. The chain breaks here. Thank you so much.
On yesterday.
I'm the videographer for Nan, and we just did this at 12 o'clock this afternoon, 1 o'clock, I think it was. And now you see what I see and feel in all these cases. Last week we had a Amadou Katiato Diallo on, and we went back 17 years. and to Amadou Diallo. Well, you see how these, when you're an activist and when you're around all these injustices, all these people have a certain God consciousness that gets us all through all these mishaps, misjustice. Well, you know, it's tough being black in America, to all the injustice, but you have to dig deep down into your heart and find the love of God that's within us all. So again, shout out to the twin of Terrence Crutchner. Gentlemen, what you?
So here we go again. I mean, this is just so heartbreaking to just see this happening over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm speaking to we as black people, continuously have to do the same thing, seek justice, go in the streets, march, protest, beg, plead, scream, holler, and the same thing keeps happening. And it's like, so no matter how many times it happened, you know, innocent people being murdered in the street, hands up, nothing in their hands. We thought they looked like a weapon. They act threateningly. They didn't respond to orders. All of this is getting to the point that it's past the point of tolerance. And it's just so sad that this system is so steeped and so injustice is so deeply interwoven within the fabric. It needs a major overhaul, but more importantly, it needs the people. It needs us to change this system, because we continuously arrive at the same place for the same reasons. And it's nothing changed. It's the same thing. Nobody's held accountable. Nobody's guilty.
Well, I think in this case, something's this one, they got to do something about this one.
They had to do something about the other ones.
But this one is now, and like she said, the bomber's still alive, who just, you know, and this man did nothing wrong. He just looked like a bad dude. You know,
how do you see a bad dude from high up in a helicopter? How do you make that determination that he's a bad dude?
He was tall. It was big and black.
Yeah,
that's all.
Einstein said you can't solve a problem on the same level that you entered the problem. And there is a degree of moral depravity in this country, and for that we are suffering. And this is a broad scope of things, because it's not just policing, it's the whole society. I was explaining to some people, we get our police officers from the decrepit society that we live in. We get our attorneys, we get our judges, we get our teachers, we get the doctors, we get everybody, the shoe shine guy, everybody comes out of this pool. And we don't have the fiber or the character as a nation that we had 50, 60 years ago. We don't have it.
That's true.
We don't have it.
We got Donald Trump running for president.
We need not expect to see it improve. Deuteronomy chapter 28 is something that people need to read. If you don't have a Bible, go get one. Go online, look up Deuteronomy chapter 28 and read it. And this coming election,
what does it say?
It talks about blessings and curses.
Okay.
And it talks about the people of Israel, not this Israel, the real Israel of biblical time, the Israelites, not Jews, the Israelites, the Semitic people, the brown-skinned people, and how they messed up, and how through time God said, if you will not return to me and worship me, no matter where you go in the earth, you will be cursed.
The curse of Ham?
Ham was not. Let's get the curse of Ham out of our heads. Noah didn't have a white son and a black son. Let's forget about that.
Okay.
Noah was not white. He didn't have white children. Okay? So the curse of Ham.
No
You can't-
albinos, huh?
No, you can't curse what God has blessed. And if you read the first verse of that chapter, it says, and God blessed Noah and his sons. No man can curse what God has blessed.
Okay.
So let's keep that in. All that plantation thinking, forget about that. But he said, no one will champion your cause. They will hold you up to the mirror of the earth. And he says, I will carry your children away in ships to a far-off land you know not of, and there your children will plant a crop, but the harvest will not be theirs. And in that land, your wife will dishonor you to your face. He lays out all of the turmoil that would beset the people. All right? So there is no clarity. There is no readjustment of this madness until we get our spiritual base
Where are
together.
the 1,000 years of peace? What is that supposed
That's
to happen?
not now. We haven't entered that period. We haven't gotten to that yet. We're dealing with the simple fact that, and this whole madness with Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be the end right here.
You need to be watching
Close to
carefully because if so many people, because right now Hillary and here, it was like this before, now they're here.
That's got to be a joke.
And it's not a joke. You need to understand the seriousness of where this country,
I don't believe that.
where the country.
I can't believe we have that many
Let me finish my statement, for God's sake.
You're trying
You need to understand how sick this country is.
I don't
For
believe
this
it's that
man to
sick.
be running for president, it's a danger.
Sure.
It's a danger.
For sure.
This is not a joke. So if a man like this can be allowed to run for president and be running neck and neck with Hillary Clinton, this is a problem. And if she doesn't pull it out, it's truly going to be worse. All right? We are in a critical, pivotal point in time and in history. There was a time when the office of the presidency was taken as something serious. It's a joke now. All right? And we've seen the last 3 elections how the Republicans have put forth these buffoons. All right? But now this guy is trumping everybody. Play on words. He trumps 15 guys and got them out of the way.
Well,
So we're in a crisis state right now.
I have a feeling that you're dead wrong, because I don't think this country can be as stupid as you laid it out to be. I mean,
A lot of stupid people in this country.
I know there are a lot of stupid. We have 14 million vote for Trump, but they're not all despicable or deplorable as Hillary Clinton called them. Half of them. But we do have a minority of people with a lot of money that I think are just swaying all these polls and putting us all in a quagmire, whereas even you could live with the possibility of Trump being president.
I didn't say I could live with it. I'm looking at it as
you're
as a
saying
reality.
that you believe
The
that
possibilities
this country is dumb enough to put that idiot in the White House, and I just have. It's just hard for me to grasp. That's why I interrupt you, because it's so hard for me to fathom that this country can be that stupid. I mean, there can't be that many stupid people in America.
And I understand and respect what you're saying, but I also understand the gravity and the seriousness with which Graham spoke about.
Yeah.
Just the thought of him, even the possibility of him winning this presidency, is a scary thought. But where we are right now, in reality, is that he's poised that could possibly happen.
Well, then everybody,
and then what?
All
That's
the
scary.
same
That's
people
really
in
scary.
All the same people in America better get out and vote.
Yeah,
That's
they
all
better.
I gotta say. If you got any sense of mind, if you come on, it'd be who came out and said it was a national disgrace? Colin Powell. I mean, come on.
Okay.
Come on, guys. It can't possibly be that. It can't possibly happen. I just refuse to even think about that crap.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
this to me, the buffoonery of Donald Trump is just showing us how much we have to stick together, and the loving, sensible-minded people of America have to come together.
Fortunately, the East Coast and West Coast, the population on the East
Yeah, we
Coast and
gotta
West
win
Coast.
this one.
But you got to remember, there are people in New York City that are with Donald Trump, let alone the people in the middle of America. There is...
Look at all the Republicans that are against Trump.
Right. But look at all of the dyed-in-the-wool patriotic people that believe that there's a Muslim behind every bush and a terrorist behind every bush and all this nonsense. You see, his wife is an immigrant. All his wives are immigrants. All right? This banter and the insanity of the boogeyman, which we had McCarthy years ago in the 50s. The communism, everybody's scared of this, scared of that, and this is your enemy, and that one's your when your own system itself is a problem. Your own system is frayed and fractured, and we're not even taking the time to restore sanity to the political system. There is no serious approach. And another thing, when Michelle spoke at a college the other day, and they were screaming 4 more years. They were screaming 4 more years for Barack Obama. You see,
that wouldn't be bad.
There's no way in the world Trump could ever run against a guy like Barack Obama. It'd be a grand slam.
That's right.
All right? So the people have commented over the week. They've been saying, well, Barack Obama, no question. But people have trust issues with Hillary and this and that, and it's back and forth, and you have a lot of people who haven't decided one way or the other which way they're going to go, which is another factor. Then you've got the people on the those fringe groups, the Green Party and the Libertarian Party. You know, those people, they don't know where they're going to go. So there are a lot of people who are yet not committed to one group or the other. And that's a factor that they have to deal with, because whoever draws the people who are non-committed is the one that's going to win the election.
Well, thank you for coming, gentlemen. This is a tough one. As you see, I'm still committed to sanity. I pray to God that this man doesn't become president. And I'm sure, I trust that you people have enough sense to vote against Donald Trump. The God in me loves the God in you, and stay sane, all right, and vote.
That's right.
Yeah.
Vote for Hillary Clinton. Don't blame her for what Bill did, all right? Power to the people. God bless.
But this, you know, they're talking about the